Welcome to I'mAnOptician.com. We're going to talk about restringing a nylon groove frame, a semi-rimless frame. It's one of the things that a lot of my new opticians struggle with. They find it intimidating. They have a hard time figuring out how to do it. And it's really quite easy once you know the easy way to do it. And here's the easy way. Usually it takes me longer to get out the old eye wire than it does to get in the new eye wire. Now keep in mind, when you get these in, they're not going to be nice and new like this. They're probably going to be brittle, cut off. You'll probably find that it's cut off quite close here to the end, and you will find that it's hard to get out sometimes. Now when they're new, you can just pry this open and push that through. But when they're a little bit old, sometimes it's cut off here. You can't get quite at it, so you're going to use your pin, and you can just get into this little loop here on the inside and pull that straight out a little bit, and get on it with your needle nose pliers and pull it out. I don't want to take a chance on wrecking this new frame, so I'm just going to push that. And then we got that clear. Now you want to make sure when we have this out that we double check our figure 8 liner that's through here, and make sure that's in good shape. If we have to replace that, now's a good time. Also make sure that our groove is all cleared out. Again, sometimes you get this wire fractures and splits, and you get little pieces build up in there. So we want to make sure that's all cleared out, and that these two holes on both the nasal side and the temple side are quite clear, and there's no debris in there. Otherwise, again, get in there with your pin and just punch them out, and just to make sure all the little debris is out of there. So when you use your new eye wire, a lot of times you'll get a package like this with your frame. You can save these up and use this little piece. You can buy it from your supplier. I get it in a big roll. I go down to my sporting goods store, get some fishing wire. You want to make sure that you get a roll that's clear. This stuff comes in blue. It also comes in opaque white, and you don't want those. You want the clear variety. You also want to make sure that you get the diameter correct. It used to be just 25-pound test was the right diameter. Now you can get 25-pound test in different diameters. You want to make sure that it is 0.5 millimeters. So just look for the designation on the roll. You get a big roll of it. It's huge. It'll last you forever and ever and ever. So get a nice size piece. You want to start with the side that has the easiest access. So here at the nasal, we've got a lot of room to get in. Here at the temple, we're restricted by how much the front of the frame here and the turn back temple here is giving us some restriction access to those. So we're going to start here in the nasal, and you want to go to the inside of the frame through the bottom hole. So you're just going to go, let me see, so we can see it there. You want to go in the bottom hole and all the way across, and then you're going to go out through the temple through the bottom hole, just like this. Now if you're having trouble getting it through the hole, keep in mind when you're cutting the string, you don't want to use a clipper, because a clipper will actually crimp that end, and it'll be tough to get out. You want to use a pair of scissors, to snip it, and it will slice it into a nice end. Or you can use a knife, like an X-Acto blade, and cut it, and if you cut it at an angle, you'll get a real pointy end. It'll go in and out of those holes really easy. So pull that through nice so you've got enough to work with, and then we're going to go again through back to the inside through the top hole. And then you're going to want to leave a little bit of a tag bend it over. Now you want your tags to not overlap with your figure 8 liner. You want it to come up to but not overlap. You can leave as much as you really have room to fit in there. The more that's there, the stronger this will hold and not pull out. And then you want to pull this nice and snug so that there's no loop on the outside, so it's nice and tight. And then pull that down so that it sits into the little notch there. Now we've got quite a large sized eye wire here. It's quite big, and that's okay. Just leave it big like that for now. We're going to put our lens in. That got a little too big here, and you can see how it overlaps. Now if you want, you can just snip it off, or you can pull it out. I'm just going to snip it off because it's quicker. And get in there and just snip that end off. And again, you don't want that tag to overlap. You can see that it just comes up to but does not overlap the figure 8 liner right there. Put your lens in. Make sure that that tag goes into the groove on your lens. Make sure the figure 8 liner fits in all the way around, and make sure that the eye wire is coming in here and there and fits into the groove of your lens all the way around like that. Now you've got a lot of excess here, and what you're going to do is just take this and pull it through. Start pulling it, and you'll see how it gets nice and fits right in, and pull it nice and snug there. And then you're going to pull it down and crimp. It crimps right at this location right here on the eye wire, on the new eye wire, and you crimp it down. And then you can pull the lens out, keep it aside, and you can see here how it's crimped, and that's how we know exactly how big this should be. So if we pull that crimp out here, and then we want to cut it about 3 millimeters, 2 to 3 millimeters past that crimp, or if you leave the lens in, you can actually just cut it while the lens is in here. So again, put it in there, pull this nice and snug, nice and tight like that, and crimp it down. And then you want to cut it with about 2 to 3 millimeters of a tag right there. You'll get to know how much you can leave on there. So I usually like about that. That's a little long, but you can always tighten it up. Now when you push this through, you'll see this crimp, and now we're going to use our pliers, because I don't have nice little fingers to push that in, and go in again through that top hole and push it up to the point where that crimp is. Bend over your tag and then pull this nice and tight. Again, pull that down so that it seats in into the little notch there, and make sure that our tag is not overlapping with our figure 8 liner in there. And now we just set this in. Again, make sure both tags are inside the groove, and then you can use your string, you can use your ribbon. If you like buying tools, you can buy a little hook tool to do this with. I like to use the string because there's always lots of it around. Snap it in, and that's a perfect fit, just like that, in just a couple of minutes. Nice and easy. Now, if this is too short, what you need to do is take this and push it back a little bit. You can take your tag and push it so that it's out just a little bit, and you've got a little bit of leeway on this side, a little bit on that side. You can pull it out either side and loosen up the string a little bit. If your string is a little bit too loose, you can actually, you can do the same thing and just pull it a little tighter and cut the tag off a little bit. Or if you have a frame warmer handy, you can just get a little heat on here, just turn that frame warmer on, stick that underneath, and this will shrink right up and be nice and tight. You can actually do that with the lens right in there if you want. If you don't want to take a chance on crazing the lens, you can pull the lens out and shrink that up. If you don't have a frame warmer handy, you can actually use a lighter. Let's see if I can simulate that here so you can see. You can actually use a lighter. Now be careful with the lighter, because if it gets too close, it's going to shrink it too much, and it only takes a little bit of heat, and you can see how it shrinks right up. Again, you can shrink that quite a bit, and it'll be very tight. You can do that with the lens right in there, but I usually don't suggest it with the lighter, because you can actually burn this. But if you have your frame warmer, it's easier, more even, and it does a much nicer job of it. But you can shrink that quite a bit. So there you are, a restrung frame in a very short amount of time, and very easy to do with minimal tools.